In this lesson of the Nile Rodgers series, we're taking a look at the song He's the Greatest Dancer by Sister Sledge. This is the first one that's got a bit of a lead guitar line in it, so as well as all the usual cool funky chord and rhythm stuff, we've also got a bit of alternate picking to look at, as well as left hand right hand synchronisation, so good technique stuff to be working on. So we'll start with the main progression. We'll look at the chords first, then take a look at the lead line so you can alternate between the parts or create a loop to practice or whatever. So it's a 2-bar loop starting with a G minor 7 rooted on the bottom string. That lasts for the first half of the first bar. Following this we have a C minor 7 which covers the second half of the first bar and the first half of the second bar. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, then we're just taking that shape and sliding it up to a D minor 7, 2 frets higher for the last half of the second bar. So we have G minor 7, 1, 2, C minor 7, 3, 4, 1, 2, D minor 7, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And rhythm wise, cool rhythm pattern. What we're doing here is we're starting with an accent on the G chord on the down strum, then we're doing up down muted, so then we're accenting the next two up strums on the G, so, and finishing with those two muted strums as well. So down, up, up. Again, that was down, up, up. Now the C follows a repeating pattern, which is a 3-beat pattern where we're accenting the first beat of each repetition. So we're essentially going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Seen this a couple of times in the Nile Rodgers series already, so you might already be familiar with it if you're following along. Basically what's happening is, because it's a group of 3, every accent is swapped between a down strum and an up strum. So it's down, up, down, up. And then at the very end we're doing a down and an up accented, followed by a down and an up muted. So if I put those two chords together, and that little change at the end there just makes it add up to the right number of beats in the bars. Then the D at the end is the same rhythm as the G at the start. So accenting the first down strum and then the two up strums at the end. So if you put all of those together, and with the 16th note counting, that would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. That took a little bit of thinking. But that is the main chord progression which you hear behind the lead line in the verses and at the very start of the song. Just while that part's fresh in your mind before we move on to the lead line that's played over the top, I just want to have a chat about what I'm calling the pre-chorus. It's not really a proper pre-chorus because it's only one chord and a couple of bars, but essentially what's going on is he's just playing the G minor 7 for the whole 2 bars on the very last time before you change into the chorus section. So that sounds like this. Now rhythmically what's going on here is you're keeping the same rhythm that you played in the verse when you played the G minor 7 and the C minor 7. So remember they sounded like this. So play that exact same rhythm but just stay on the G minor 7. The only bit that changes is the end of the second bar, which is when you would be playing the D minor 7 in the verse. All we're doing here is we're sticking on that G minor 7 obviously, and we're going down, down, up, accenting the down at the start of each beat. So down, down, up, down, down, up. And if you put all of that together, it just sounds better staying on that G minor 7 when you transition into the chorus chord progression, so that's why he does that in the song. You've just got to keep an eye out for it, because once you've played that main progression, a lot of times it can kind of catch you off guard if you're not aware of exactly when it happens in the song. Onto that repeating lead line now, and I've put on a bit of a phaser effect just to match the sound of the track, but other types of modulation will work as well if you don't have a phaser. That sounds like this. Pretty cool part, and a lot of alternate picking and left hand right hand synchronization going on here. So let's take a look at what's actually happening. So we're starting with third finger on the 5th fret of the G string. That's going to be played twice, so down up on the picking. This is all slightly palm muted with the right hand, by the way, so down up. Then we're going 3rd fret with 1st finger, then the open string, then the 5th fret, 3rd fret, open. And the rhythm, 1 E and a 2 E and A. So that time when you hit the 5th fret, when you come back to it after the open string, that's actually an 8th note rather than a 16th note. So you'll be picking down on that one, the hand will move up without touching the string, then you'll hit down on the 3, then up on the open. So you've got down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And that should make your picking match the rhythm of the 16th note grid. And then you want to mute the strings for the rest of that bar. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, 4. In the second bar, we're resting on beat 1. We're coming in on the and of beat 1, so we have an 8th note rest. So we're going 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and a. So a little bit busier this bar note wise. So what we're doing here is we're starting on the 5th fret, this time on the D string, down pick, up pick the open string, down up on 3rd fret, down up on open string. So that's then we're doing 2 notes on the 5th fret, down up, down on 3, up on the open string, then we're hitting another 8th note on the 5th fret, so we'll be doing a down pick on that one, then a down pick on the next note as well, which is back to the G string, 3rd fret. And it's a little bit tricky changing strings when your hand's in that kind of alternate picking 16th note motion. So it might take a little bit of practice, but that's what happens. We're going down pick on the 3 and then up pick on the open G. And that kind of sets you up to start again from the 5th fret. So that second bar, I'm going to hit the strings to show you where it starts. So it's 3, 4, 1, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4, and a. Okay, so 3, 4, 1, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And then you're straight back into the first bar. So if you put them both together. With a count, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and a. And that is the lead line. It should match up with the loop of the main progression, so if you've got a looper pedal, definitely give that a go, or get on YouTube, slow the track down and try and have a play along. You might have to do a little bit of metronome practice if you're not used to this alternate picking thing in the right hand, because it takes a little bit of training to get the synchronization of the left hand absolutely perfect at that speed, but definitely worth the effort. And the only part we've got left to learn is the chorus, which is a really cool kind of rising progression. Sounds like this. So what's going on here is we're starting with a C minor 7 rooted on the A string. That moves up to a D minor 7. We then have an A diminished 7, which is your kind of zigzag shape on the top 4 strings. I'm calling it an A diminished 7 because I'm thinking of the first finger playing the root note, which is the octave of the A note on the bottom string. So there's your octave shape, popping first finger on that higher octave, throwing on your zigzag shape and playing the top 4 strings. So I'm using the tip of the first finger to touch the A string so that I don't accidentally strum any open strings. If you're not sure about some of these chord shapes, do check out the first video in this series where I go through them all, and check out the chord diagrams on Patreon as well. If you're crazy about the theory, I guess you could think of it as an F sharp diminished 7 that's been inverted, because the F sharp note is the leading tone that takes you into the G minor chord that comes next. So that kind of explains a little bit better how it works in the context of this track. So we've got the C minor 7, the D minor 7, the A or the F sharp diminished 7, and then a G minor 7 rooted up on the 10th fret of the A string using an A shape as well. So that's how you get that kind of rising sound, because you're just working your way up the neck. When you move between the D and the diminished 7, a nice trick is to remember that the second finger can stay on that string and slide up, and then you can place all the other fingers in the right frets around it. That makes it a little bit easier because you've got a reference point for one of the fingers rather than trying to take them all off and then trying to jump them all on into this awkward shape all at once. So keep the second finger down, slide it up, and then place the other fingers around it, then into the G minor at the top. So. And then for the second round of chords, we're copying the same C and D minor 7s, but this time we're finishing on a G minor 7 on the bottom string, like the one in the verse, for the final bar, which just makes it sound a little bit more resolved. So if you put them all together, and then it repeats. And then you stay on the G minor 7 and you're back in the verse. If we look at the rhythm for the chorus now, it's starting out like this. So you're starting with the down strum on the C minor 7. Let it ring out for just a tad, and then hit the up strum, then down up muted. So, then move up to the D minor 7. So again, down, let it ring out, catch the up, then down up muted, and then finish it off with down up fretted, and then down up muted. So that's. And once you've got that rhythm down, you can apply the same rhythm to the A diminished 7 and the G minor 7. And here it's really helpful having that little muted down up strum, because you can get the G minor 7 in place for the accented strums. So put all of those chords together. And then the final 2 bars of the chorus, we're keeping the same rhythm on the C minor 7 and the D minor 7, then just move into the G minor 7, so no transition once you're there, you just finish the bar with the same strumming pattern. So once you've got the first bit down, and you can do that without thinking about it, it's just a case of applying it to all the other chords, and then you've got your whole part. And once you've got that down, you've got all the sections of the song. And finally, just a quick word on the theory. It's quite a simple one, this one really. We're in the key of G minor, and we're doing a 1, 4, 5 in the key of G minor. So G minor 7 is the 1, the C minor 7 is the 4, and the D minor 7 is the 5. There's no Dorian or anything like that going on in this progression. It's pretty rare that you get a song that's all minor chords. I can only really think of a couple off the top of my head, but I suppose the fact that they're minor 7s rather than just standard minor chords does kind of dampen the minorness a little bit, makes it sound a little bit more upbeat and not as dark. The only kind of interesting harmonic thing that happens is in the chorus, where we've got that A diminished 7, this chord here. You can hear it's super tense, but then it's resolved nicely when you reach that G minor 7 afterwards. Obviously, an A diminished, well, I suppose not that obviously if you don't know about it, but an A diminished 7 doesn't occur naturally in a diatonic key, so this is a borrowed chord. So he's basically thrown that chord in on purpose to create a little bit of tension. And the reason that we have tension is because we've got this F sharp note, which is the note on the B string, which really makes your ear want to hear the G chord after the G note after it. So you want to hear this. So that's why when you move to the G minor 7, it sounds so resolved, because it's relaxed that tension that the A diminished 7 was creating. But other than that, it's just standard G minor. The lead line you can simply think of as just the middle two strings from the G minor pentatonic scale. So I play up the scale. So we've got them 3rd and 5th fret notes on the middle two strings there. And we've also got the open G and the open D, which fit that same pentatonic scale as well. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this tune. The tricky thing in this one really is that lead line and getting the synchronization really good between the left hand and the right hand. There's some great footage of Nile Rodgers playing it on YouTube, so go and check that out and then you can see how the real master does it. Remember, if you enjoy the lessons, do subscribe for more, and remember you can check out my Patreon page where you can download all the chord diagrams that we're using in these lessons as well, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.